Hey, what's up, YouTube? On this video, we're going to talk about compounding interest, what it means, what it is, and how you can actually take advantage of it and get some compounding interest working for you instead of against you. So stay tuned to the end. You're not going to want to miss this video. My name is Cluff. I'm a former financial advisor turned financial educator and coach, and I absolutely love helping people manage, protect, and grow their money, turning their income into wealth, and creating and building a massive bank account. So let's jump right into what it is. What is compounding interest? How do you earn it? And how do you take advantage of it? And how do you really calculate whether or not it's worth it? Okay, so understanding compound interest. Okay, so let's define some terms first and foremost. The current principal is the amount of money that you put into the investment. Any additional principal is any money that you add to it throughout the years, month after month potentially. And then how many years do you have before you're going to need that to grow? So if you need to have some money within the next 12 months, you're going to probably want to keep that risk low and get a lower rate of return. But if you're at a higher, longer time horizon, you can actually probably do pretty well and get a pretty great rate of return. And especially if you have 10 or more years to really enjoy and let that money grow for you. One of the most important things about compounding interest is the time in the market, not timing the market. So the best time to invest was 20 years ago. The next best time to invest is today. And so the more you can get that compounding effect to work for you, and we'll talk about what that means in just a minute here with this next slide. So here's how compound interest kind of works. So if in year one, if you put $1,000 into an investment that was earning 10% rate of return, now the S&P 500 for the last 50 or 60 years has done about 10%. So this is totally doable. And depending on the interest, and depending on any other investments that you're involved in, it might even be a low investment. But you definitely want to be earning S&P numbers here with at least with your foundational money for retirement and for the future. You definitely want to be earning at least what the S&P 500 is. So as you can see here, $1,000 principal at a 10% rate of return will yield you a $100 cash rate of return. So it grows by $100 because 10% of 1,000 is 100. Now the next year you're going to actually have that money grow now it's a 10% return based on $1,100. So you actually have $110. And the third year, then you're going to have 1210 times 10% or $121. So what happens with compound interest is that the interest compounds on top of the interest that already compounded, which is a kind of a crazy way to say that the interest you earned yesterday will compound on the interest that's earned today, and the interest that earned yesterday and today will be compounding on the interest that's earned tomorrow. And every day that compounding happens, the more you'll be earning interest. And so that's the difference between APR, which is annual percentage rate, and APY, annual percentage yield, because the yield, depending on how often it compounds, because there's different kinds of compounding. This one shows a compounding of annual compounding. There's daily compounding, there's monthly compounding. Just depends on how it compounds. You're going to want to have the highest rate of return at the most regular intervals for compounding in order to really gain some wealth. Compound interest works for you when you're earning, and it works against you when you're paying. So you're going to want to make sure you're getting the lowest rate possible on any debts that you have so that you're not paying as much, and as high a rate as possible on the money that you're investing or that your investments and you're earning. So this brings me to a very common and very well-known rule called the rule of 72. I don't know if you've ever heard of the rule of 72, but this rule is a super simple way for you to calculate how often your money will double based on an investment, or how often your money will double based on how much you're paying. So here's an example. You calculate by dividing 72 by the non-decimal interest rate on the investment. So if you have a $10,000 in savings that's earning 10% interest, 72 divided by 10 equals 7.2 years. So that basically means that your $10,000 will double to $20,000 in 7.5 years, or 7.2 years. Now, you might look at the bank account that you have right now and look at the savings account, and it's 0.01 or 0.02. If you divide 0.1 or 0.01 into 72, you'll see it takes several hundred years for that money to double. So that's one of the reasons why we suggest getting your money out of commercial banks, getting into a rate of return where you actually have a chance to have some money compounding for you and really work in your favor. Now, one of the other challenges here is that you have inflation working against you. So you want to at least beat inflation with your interest rate. Right now, as of this recording this video, it's right around the 3-4% range, depending on who you look for and what studies or what statistics you're looking at. But you definitely want to be earning at least 4+% on your money just to keep track with inflation, and then have a chance to actually grow it. So kind of a visual of the rule of 72. This is a little easier visual. So let's say that you're 29 years old today and you had $10,000 invested at 4%. Most high yield savings accounts will earn 4% right now. And so that means that 4 into 72 is 18. So 4 into 72 is 18. Every 18 years, your money will double. Now, that doesn't sound like a very exciting to have to wait 18 years, but that's what 4% does. So if 29 years old, $10,000, by the time you're 47, it will double to 20,000. And then it will double one more time to 65 at 10 be $40,000 for you. But here's the problem is that nobody that I know of can retire for very long on $40,000. So if your investments are only earning 4%, you're probably, especially if they're your retirement investments, you're probably not going to make it unless you have a ton of money. If you have hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars at 4%, then that might be a different scenario. But if you have only $10,000, and this, by the way, is 10,000 one time at 29 years old. Like, so if you continue to contribute, it's only going to get better. So let's just double the interest rate. If you double the interest rate, we should get double the result, right? Actually, it works a little differently. And the compounding effect, the synergistic effect of compounding really takes off. And you'll see the difference here. So at 29 years old, under 8%. So if you had 8% right here, what happens is at 29 years old, the same $10,000 doubles every 9 years. So it doubles twice as often. Well, when you have twice as often doubling, you actually double more often than you did before by the time you're 65. So you're going to see here that if you had $10,000 at 29, at 38, it's going to be 20,000. At 47, it's going to be 40,000. So you already double what 4% was at 47. At 56, it'll be 80,000. And then at 65, it'll be $160,000. So you can see the difference between 4% and 8% is huge. It may seem like, well, it should just double the money. We should have 80,000. You actually end up quadrupling the amount of money that you have by doubling the interest rate. So if we were to show a 10 or 12% interest rate, you'd see some really significant growth. In fact, 12% interest rate gets you up to $640,000 at 65, because 12 into 72 doubles every 6 years, which is even faster and doubles even more. So I hope this helps you understand why it's so important to get a good rate of return on your money so that it compounds more often. The more time you have in the market, the more it can compound. And the higher the rate of return, the more often it compounds. So you're going to want to have that doubling effect happen as often as possible, as quick as possible. So get a good rate of return and get your money invested in the market. If you want to make sure if you're on track to retire on time, you're going to want to check out this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you on the next one, and do whatever you can every day to turn your income into wealth and build a massive bank account. We'll see you on the next one.